So recently I was out in Arizona, had some time to drive around in between my trainings. Got to hit some bucket list items, got to go to Frank Lloyd Wright's Western home outside of Phoenix. It was awesome. Got to go on one of my favorite drives, the Apache Trail. It's this insanely windy road with no guards on the side, so you could go right over. Kind of goes down to this place called Tortilla Flat. It's got a really cool restaurant. And as I was doing that alone, driving, taking in the scenery, I remembered one of my favorite episodes traveling over all these decades of traveling. I was on my motorcycle journey after I got out of the Marine Corps, and I was trying to figure out my life after my jet crash. And I was driving south of the Tetons. And I'm driving along and I'm getting sore and I'm getting tired, and you know, off to the right are kind of the Teton mountain ranges rising up out of nowhere, which is so cool. And I'm driving along and I kind of look down in the distance and I can see a tree, and it, you know, I can't really tell that I get closer, but it looks like it's kind of, there's like a stream going near it. And I was kind of tired and I had some food with me in my backpack. So I'm like, you know what, that looks like a cool place. You know, drive down off the road, go to that tree, get in some shade, eat some lunch, looking out towards the Tetons. So I get down there, and then when I do, I notice there's another motorcyclist about exactly where I'm going. And I'm trying to decide, okay, am I gonna disturb their peace and go near there? And I'm like, you know, it's a big tree, there's a big area, and it looks like people have been there before, so I'll just kind of go near, but not too close. So I get down, and you turn off the highway onto this little dirt little road next to a fence, and it goes towards the tree. And I get close, but not too close. And I get off my bike and I'm looking over at this guy, and I'm going, man, that looks like Peter Fonda, the actor, okay? The famous actor from the 60s and 70s. And, you know, iconic movies, you know, and I'm looking, that's gotta be Peter Fonda on a motorcycle. And a couple of times while I'm sitting there eating, I'm like, okay, should I go over and talk to him? And I'm like, nah, man, he wants to be alone and I want to be alone. And so I just kind of sit there, and I think, you know, maybe once I look over at him and smile, and he smiles back at me, and then I get finished, and then I'm off on the road, and he was still there. I think he was like smoking a cigarette. And for years, you know, I had that story in my mind, and I'm like, okay, was that Peter Fonda? Or was that just my imagination and it's someone that looked like him, and I would like to believe, you know, it's Peter Fonda of Easy Rider fame, the most iconic motorcycle movie ever. Decades go by, and I was subscribing to a Men's Journal magazine, and it came to my house, and this was probably, how many years after that would it have been? This would have been 15, 16 years after that episode. And it comes that day, and I grab it, and I'm in my office reading it, and as I pull it out of its wrapper that it came in, I look at the cover, and in a little corner here, it's like, best motorcycle rides of Peter Fonda. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, Peter Fonda. And I think back to the little episode that I had with him. And so I'm thumbing through the magazine, reading it, and I come to that article, and it's just a little one-pager, but there's a picture of him on a motorcycle under a tree during what he says is his favorite ride near the Tetons. And it's that tree. It's the same tree. I mean, it's the same. It's like came out of my memory and was etched right there. And I'm like, oh my God, it was really Peter Fonda. What a magic moment. But it reminded me on my trip recently, you know, I stopped. I always like to talk to people. They're surprised at first because no one talks anymore. But I just sit down and I start talking. You know, I get coffee. And this is just my recent trip. And I get coffee, and I'm talking to this, you know, young lady working, you know, behind the coffee bar, and she liked the way, I think I walked in and said, hey, what's up? And she liked the fact I said, hey, what's up? And she's young, and turns out she's from the Midwest and had lived in Indiana where I'm from. And she's talking about what she wants to do with her life and where she wants to live. And I share with her my big family, but the adventures I go on, and you can kind of tell she's going, well, hey, you're not the stereotypical guy with this big family homebody doing this. And it was kind of cool. You could kind of tell she took some hope in it. Maybe I can be kind of this fun girl and still have a family someday and still have kids and still have all those things. And it was just kind of a neat conversation, because you could tell she was probably surrounded by people that it's like you can have one or the other, but you can't have both. But you can have both. And it was kind of a fun moment. And then there was another moment just talking to a stranger on the road on my way to Tortilla Flat on the Apache Trail. And I pull up and there's a bunch of people having a party, and I just talk to them. They're having a party. It's where they like to go. It was a big Hispanic family. I mean, there must have been 20 people there. And it was this big lake right next to this road. And they were out there on jet skis, and they had a little tent set up, and they were cooking out and just having a great time. Reminded me of little parties when I was a kid, big family kind of events. And in its own way, it was magic. And in their own way, both of those episodes were just as magic as that time many years ago when I'm convinced I was sitting under the same tree as Peter Fonda in the middle of nowhere outside of the Tetons. And that's life, my friends. Every day is a moment to just do something small that might just be magical. Who you meet, who you talk to, where you sit, where you go. Make each day magic. It's an awesome world. They're awesome people. Everybody's got a story. Make them part of your story. Silouan here. Great to be with you again. Hopefully, maybe one day I'll see you on the road. Hopefully I will. I'm out. Peace.